Hopefully you guys can hear me okay. Let me know in the chat if you can hear me all right. We're going to go ahead and get started here in just a little bit. Going to make sure that we're streaming on Facebook Live, that we have everything set up, and it looks like things are going well on the Facebook end. Awesome. Hopefully you guys are doing fantastic. Happy Thursday. So FAQ&A Thursdays, we do this every single week, 9:45 a.m. PST. We go over a certain topic in Dubsado, and then we just try to get the information out as much as possible to you guys. And today we're going to be going over client portals. I haven't done an FAQ&A on client portals in a while, but there's a lot of stuff that you can do with them that we've kind of added. And so I wanted to make sure I kind of double back and we can actually do something on client portals today, because they're a great tool that you can use in Dubsado, and it really gives you the ability to put the keys into the client's hand. And so we definitely want to get those covered. So awesome. Well, it looks like we are live. Everything is good. So let me go ahead and click record, and we will jump in and get started. Awesome, guys. Well, last week I actually forgot to introduce myself at the very beginning, so I wanted to make sure that I let you guys know who I am and what I do at Dubsado for these FAQ&As. I forget that we have new people a lot during these FAQ&As. So I'm Cameron McBeth. I am the head of the account solutions team here at Dubsado. So what I primarily do is do the one-on-one calls where you guys can call in, go over your process, talk about your strategy, what you do with your business, and then I help you take your business process and then fit it into Dubsado, show you a couple things that might be unique tips and tricks that you can do with your business, and just show you how to get acclimated into the system and, you know, and look over anything that you have business-wise, process-wise, workflows, all that good stuff, and then I can help you implement that into the system. So let's go ahead and get started here, and I will share my screen with you guys and we can jump in and get started. All right, perfect. So we have that up and going. And then how we usually run these FAQ&As is I'll run through the whole webinar, and then at the very end, I'll open it up for questions. So if you have questions, go ahead and write those down. I might answer it like halfway through the webinar, but just go ahead and write those down. And if I answer them, go ahead and cross them off. But I will look through the comments on Big Marker here and also on Facebook, and I'll go ahead and answer those questions at the very end. So other than that, we'll jump into it. So I'll go to my screen here. So the first thing I want to talk about is just what are client portals. A lot of people have heard about them and they don't really know what they are. So to start off, the client portals are going to be a place where your client can log in and see information that you've either sent them via email. So if you're sending contracts to a client, sending questionnaires, forms, different things, they can go in and review those things, invoices that you might have sent out to them. And then you can also review things that you've actually uploaded to the portal. So not through email, just uploaded it straight to their portal. So you can kind of think about it as a locker that has everything that you've sent to the client or things that you've uploaded. And then you give them the keys to that locker. They can go in, they can unlock it, and they can go review everything. So you don't necessarily have to constantly keep, you know, bugging the client, hey, have you filled out this form, or these forms are in there. It's basically a place they can go and log in and they can see everything there. So that's kind of just on a macro level what the client portal is. But we're going to jump in today and look at client portals. We're going to talk about what you can do with them, things that you can't quite do with them yet. And we'll just kind of dive into all different aspects of it. So the first thing I want to talk about is setting up the client portal for the client. Since this is primarily what people are asking about, this is what people are wanting to do. How does it work? How do clients get a client portal? Everything like that. So when a client gets entered into Dubsado, and by that I mean they get entered into the address book, and that could be either from they fill out a lead capture, you could come in and click new project and just add them into a new project with that client, and they go into the address book. If you go to the address book and just add someone in there, they'll automatically have a client portal created. Now, just because they're in the system doesn't mean that they have access to the client portal. That's where you come in as the business owner. So once they're set up with a client portal, how they have access to it is you will need to send them the link and password in order for them to log in and have access to that client portal. So there's not really a thing as creating a client portal for someone. Once they're in Dubsado, they automatically have one. You just determine when they get access to it. They don't get alerted that they have a client portal when you put them into Dubsado. It's all about sending them their portal information. That's what kind of alerts them as, oh, I have a client portal, I can log in. So creating a client portal happens once they get added into Dubsado. Once their contact information is in here, they're set up with one. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to jump into a project that I have, and I'm going to go over just getting the portal set up for the client. So getting it ready to send the information to the client that they have a client portal. So if I click in here, I'm going to go into the project. And whenever you want to see a client's portal settings, you can see that on the left-hand side here inside of their project. Now, the client portal is a client portal, not a project portal. So what that means is that if you have done multiple projects for the same client, so if you're a photographer and you've done multiple sessions for the same client, or if you're a designer and you've done designs multiple times and done multiple projects for that same client, all of those projects are accessible in the portal. So you have to know when you're looking at a project here that the client that I'm going to be using today is Patrick Mahomes. I'm a huge Chiefs fan, as you can kind of see behind me. So he's going to be the client of choice today. But for Patrick, for example, if I've done multiple projects for him, then they're all available in the client portal. And so if you go to any of the projects that I have for Patrick, you're going to see that the portal is active in all of those projects because it's more based off the client, not the project. It's a client portal. So if you see it's active in one project, it's active across the boards for all of them. So that's something you can kind of take into consideration, that you don't have to turn on the portal inside each project. Once it's on for the client, it's on across all projects. Once you shut it off, they can't go into the portal to see those projects either. So what I'm going to do here is right now I have, a password and everything in there, but just so I can show you what it'll look like when you first add someone in, I'm going to go ahead and put these settings back to kind of reset everything in here. So whenever you first go into a project and you haven't done anything with the client portal for someone, this is what it's going to look like. You'll see that there's no password set up for the client. The status says not active, and that means that the client doesn't have access to the portal. So what we want to do is we want to give that client access to their portal, and you can decide when you want to do that. So if I go to the portal settings here, as you can see, there's no password and it's not active. If I click this little drop down arrow next to the portal and I click on that, the first thing you're going to see is it says activate. So if I click activate, what that does is it turns the portal on. Now, by clicking activate, it doesn't send anything out to the client. They don't get an email saying, hey, your portal's active. What that does is it just unlocks the portal so that if they do have the link and password, they can get in. If I were to click this again, it gives some other options which we'll cover, but if I click deactivate, then that means that even if they do have the password and the link to get in, because I have it set up as not active, they still can't get into the portal. So you do have control over when they can go in and when they can't. And that's just by adjusting their portal settings, which you can do with the workflow. That's something that we're going to talk about later, is how this works with workflows and all of that. But if I click the drop down, we'll click activate again. And then, so as you can see, it's active. So if they do have the link and password, they can go in there. Now, the next thing we'll talk about is the password. So how it works in Dubsado is if you do not have a password set up for the client, it's going to default to whatever their email is. That's the login that they're going to use to get into their portal. So it kind of depends on what type of business you have. If you're a type of business where things need to be locked down, it needs to be like a safe, and you have to have that password protection, then you can go ahead and set your password. In some industries, it's a little more relaxed. You don't really have to have a password set up. In that case, you can just leave this blank, and when it asks for them to log into their portal, they'll just put in whatever email is on there, is underneath their name, and that's all they'll need to log into their portal. So it can vary business to business. You can decide on if you want to set up a password for them or if the email is just okay. Now, currently with the password, there's not a way to have an auto password set up for them. So, whenever they go into their, whenever they get created in the system, there's not a way to just have an auto password generate. And there's not a way for the client to set the password yet. So that's something that we're working on with our team to have that kind of capability. Right now, the only way to set a password is to do it manually right now inside of a project and click on that and then type that in. So you can kind of decide if you want them to have a password, you can set it there. If not, it's going to default to their email. So that's going to be how the password works in the system. And in this case, what I'm going to do is I'm going to click this and I'm going to go ahead and type in Chiefs. That's going to be a great password for Patrick there. So we're going to put in Chiefs for the password. So now I have the password set up for them. And if we click this drop down again, there's 3 options that pop up once the portal is active. Okay, so now that the portal's active, I can either deactivate it, I can view the client portal, which we're going to do in a second, or I can send their portal information to them. Now, if I click send on this here, this is going to pop up with kind of the portal instructions on how to log into their portal. So if you ever need to send the client portal information and have them log in, you can just click that drop down and click send, and then it's going to pop up with the information. So in this default email, you can kind of see, hey, Patrick Mahomes, here's the link to your client portal. This is where you'll see all of your emails and forms all in one place. Your password is Chiefs, and it autofills whatever their password currently is. If I were to remove this here, so I'm just going to close out of this, and then I'm going to get rid of the password and try to send the email again. If I click send, now it's going to say your password is the email address. And I'm going to show you how you can have, whatever their password is, whether it's their email or however you have it set up, autofill. We're going to go over that in a little bit. But this is going to be how you can send the information. Now, this portal button that you see right here, when they click on this button, when it gets to their email, it's going to open up with the login screen. Okay, so you can kind of just remember that portal button here for a second. So what we're going to do now, and I'm going to go ahead and put the password back in again, is now we're going to jump in and we're going to actually take a look at the portal. So if I click this drop down here and I click view, and I click on that there, this is going to take them to their portal login page. Now that red button that we just saw in the email, when they click on that, this is the page that it takes them to. So that's how you can kind of think about it, is that button leads them directly to this page. And then depending on if they have a password or if they have just their email address, that's what they're going to enter in at this page. So if I click here, I'm going to go ahead and type in Chiefs, since that's the password, and click login. And this is going to be the client portal. Now, first, I'm going to talk about the functionality of this and navigating through the portal, and then we'll talk about the aesthetics to have your pictures and all of that good stuff in there. So with here, this is going to be the main home page when you log into the portal. Now, it's important to know that with the client portal, there's not such a thing as business owner view or client view. This is the only view there is of the client portal. So when I'm in here, whatever I can see is what the client can see. So if you are ever wondering, oh, I wonder if that's in the portal, did it go to the portal correctly? Is it in there? Can they see it? You can always just go into any of the projects that's under that client and just click view from that drop down, log in, and whatever you can see there is what the client can see. So if you're ever worried about that, you can go in and look to make sure that what you think is in there, or what you hope isn't in there is not in there. So we'll talk about the home page first here. This is going to be your business info for the client. So if you don't want your phone number in there, you might want to get rid of it in the settings menu. And we'll talk about the settings menu here in a second with kind of building the overall look of your portal. But this is going to be your business info. So whatever you want the client to know as far as how they can reach out to you, that's going to be right there in the business info area. Unread emails, if they have emails they have not read, you can see that they have not opened them up in the unread emails area there. So you can see if your client is following along with everything and actually opening up those emails that you're sending them. Incomplete forms. If there are forms that have not been completed for the client, so contracts, questionnaires, proposals, different things like that, it's going to be right here on the home page. Right now, I don't have any forms for Patrick that it needs the immediate attention. So it says 0, obviously. But if there are forms that you have sent to the client, it's going to show up right on this home page. So you don't have to worry about, well, if I send them, this questionnaire, are they even going to see it when they log in? Yes, it's right in the very front. It'll say incomplete on the form, and they'll go in, and I'll actually upload one whenever I kind of talk about uploading things to the portal. So you can see what that looks like. So incomplete forms, and then open invoices. So if there are open invoices, as in any of the projects that they have going on, those will be also on the home page, so they can see, oh, I haven't finished out this invoice. It's right there on the home page for them. So that's kind of the home page. The second thing we'll talk about is Sessions tab, or it could be the Projects tab is what it's probably called if you're first setting this up, and we'll talk about customizing that portion in a little bit. But this is where projects really come into play, and why it's called the client portal is because every project that you do for a certain client is going to be accessible in this drop down. If I click on this, these are all of the different sessions that I've done for Patrick. And so when we're talking about how you will title your projects, so let me go back here and go to my projects page. So as you can see, this project that I have for Patrick, this is one of 3 that I have. This one I have called Family Session, and I have the date after it. The reason I have it set up that way is because if you are using client portals, the project title matters, because when a client logs in, whatever you have the project title as is what they're going to see here. So it might help to kind of think about, okay, well, if I am using client portals and it's important for my business, I should title these projects based off of how I want them to see them in the portal. So for me, what makes the most sense is here's, this type of session, this is the date. You can get creative with it however you think works best. Like if you're a coach, it could be like first session, second session with the date or something like that. I know with coaches, they like to use the client portals a lot. So you can get really creative with how you want to title the projects. But it is important to know that whatever the title of the project, that's what's going to show up here. So don't put anything in there that might, offend your client or anything like that, because they'll see that title in this drop down. So if you want to organize it so it looks a little bit cleaner, that's going to help out when you go into this sessions drop down. Now, because it's all of the projects that you've done with the client, I can click through these projects, and whatever has been done in that project opens up with that drop down. So if this is stuff I've done with my family session, if I click on my 1-year session, I don't have anything in there right now. So you can sort by project. You can kind of think about this as the folder for the client. So if there's any certain thing that you say, okay, I want to kind of group these in a way that makes sense, like folder based for the client, each project is like your folder for that client. So they can go through, okay, what's in the family session? What invoices or contracts do I want to put in this section? Same thing with all of the other different projects that you have. So that's how the Sessions tab works, is every single project you do for the client will be available for them there, so they can sort through those and find them. The next tab is the Emails tab. So any email communication that you've sent through the client, this is for all projects, by the way. So this isn't just for one project. This is every single bit of email communication. So they can scroll through and find all the email communication that they've done with the client through here. Currently, you're not able to email through the portal yet. That's something that we're working on adding in. Right now, it's just more of viewing any emails that have been sent out. You can view them through here. But we are working on getting that updated so that you can do your emailing through the portal if you would like to. So there's that portion. That's just to kind of view the email communication. And then the profile section over here, this is if profile information needs to be updated. So if you click this settings gear, if there's any address changes, name changes, any information that you want to update on the client or that the client wants to update for themselves, if they move, change their phone number, anything like that, the profile section here so they can go in and update their client information. So they have that available to them, same as you. If you have any other information on them, you can put that in. But that's what the profile section is designed for. And those are the 4 different tabs that kind of make up the client portal. We're going to talk about some more specifics and tips and tricks, what you can add into the portal, what you can't. We'll talk about that in a little bit, but I just wanted to talk about overall functionality, at least first, of the client portal. And the next thing that we'll talk about is going to be the aesthetics of the portal. So if I jump back over to kind of my Dubsado area here, I'm going to go up to the settings menu. And with Dubsado, in the settings menu, underneath the portal tab, this is where you can customize what is going on inside of your portal as far as the look of everything. So in here, I'll kind of run through the different pieces here so you can kind of see where it fits. I'm going to kind of pair it with what's going on here, with what's going on, and I'll kind of switch back and forth between screens. So the first thing we'll talk about is the portal welcome message. So here, this is going to be what's in the top left-hand corner. So whatever message you have here is going to be what displays in everybody's client portal at the top. So it is important to know, maybe it's, welcome to the name of your brand, or, you can customize that, but that's going to be what it is for everybody. So don't put a specific person's name in there, because that's what it is for the general settings for everybody. So you can have like your welcome message up there at the top. Now, and you can also hide that too if you would like to. There's a hide button for the welcome message. Portal projects label override. So as you can see, I wrote sessions in there. In the very beginning, it's going to be titled projects, but we came to find out, obviously we work with a ton of different industries, that the term projects does not really work in a client portal for different types of industries. So you can change that to documents, you can change it to sessions, you can change it to, for ours, we actually use client portals for our 30-minute sessions. When you call into Dubsado and you do a call with us, we record it, we set you up with your own client portal, we send you a copy of the video, all of that. So in ours, I believe ours is called calls, so that you can go in and you can find all the calls that you've done with us, and you can replay any videos. So you can title that whatever you want it to be, but that's going to be what your second tab is in the client portal. So you can think about creative ways to use that. I've seen people call it documents, sessions is another great one, however you want to title it so it makes sense for your clients. But that's available for you to customize there. Portal specific logos. So I don't have one set up right now, I have it hidden, but in the top left-hand corner up here, you can have a portal specific logo that would be up in the top left-hand corner there. And I believe the pixel ratio, don't quote me on this, I'm trying to memorize it off the top of my head, but I believe it's 200 by 100 is the pixel ratio for your portal logo. So that's going to be up in the top left-hand corner up here. It's kind of a smaller logo. It's not designed to be big. Whenever you want a bigger logo in the portal, the best thing to use is to use just the banner and have your logo in the banner. To me, that looks the best. It's a little bit, you can incorporate it into your banner so it looks cool. But so that's the next thing we'll talk about is the banner. So your portal banner here, this is going to be the general banner that is in the top. Now up here, I've heard a lot of people have, kind of different measurements for things. Normally, I believe it's 1800 by 200 is what we recommend for the top up here. But you can play around with different banner sizes, but that's going to be what you have across the top up there is, whatever image you upload there is going to be the banner. If you don't have an image in there, then it's going to be the portal banner color, just a solid color. So if you'd rather it just be whatever your brand color is, if you want to choose a color, you don't have to have an image. You could just decide whatever your banner color is, as well as the font in your banner. So that would be kind of like your portal message would be your banner color, as far as the type, the font color. And then we do have a specific banner for if they're on mobile. So you can have two different banners, because obviously 1800 by 200 might not look the best on a mobile device. So we do have it where if you want a specific one for mobile, you can do that. I believe that one is 700 by 200. I could be wrong there. But that is what's actually, I think, Yeah, so it does have some width recommendations. So 768 pixels is the width recommendation for the mobile device banner. So you can upload that there if you want a special one. And then we'll talk about the header colors. So as you can see right here, I have different colors for my header. You can decide what the actual color is and then what the font color is. So I have blue and white to kind of match my sunset vibe. So you can have that in there and customize the look of the different headers across the top, but that's going to be what's right there. So as far as customizing the portal, that's kind of the way that you can customize the different things within there is in the brand settings area. And then the next two things I'm going to talk about is embedding the portal and sending out a portal link to somebody, a public link. So the first thing we'll talk about is this link right here. Now, this is going to be a public link that you can send out to anybody to have them log into their portal. It's not client specific. So if you were to send this public link out to somebody, it's just going to open up the login page for them just through a direct URL. It is important to know, if you are taking notes, you do have to have a password set up for them if you decide to use this option or this option. If you don't have a specific password set up for them, so you can't use just an email, you have to set up one for them. If you do not have one set up for them, it'll say that their portal is not active or is not set up yet. Even though it might be, it's just that you have not added in the password for them. So if you get that error message, that's probably why that's coming up there. So if you do want to send out just a public link to somebody, make sure you set up a password for all of your clients so that when you do send this out, they can get in. It's just another level of security. So people just can't type in, an email address and access all the information. It has to be a password that's attached if it's the public way of sending it. The portal embed code. So if you want to have your portal login on your website, so someone can just go to your website, log in, and then go to your website and then log in that way, you can embed your portal login screen on your website. Again, though, they will have to have a password in order to get in this way. So if you're using either one of these methods, you must have a password. If you send it out via like a workflow, if you send it out inside of a project, then you don't have to have a password set up there. But any public way of sending it, they do need a password. So that's going to be how you customize the portal and just kind of the overall look of it. And we talked about kind of the different pieces within there. The next thing I want to talk about is kind of methods of sending out portal information to people. We already talked about inside of the project of sending it out manually, but I want to talk about the email that goes out to them where you can create your own emails to send out portal information to people. So if I go into templates, and actually let me do this really quickly just so you guys have a visual and so you can see what the email looks like. But if I click this drop down and click send, this right here is what we call the default message that pops up whenever you're doing a certain action in Dubsado. In this case, this is sending out portal information. If I were to send out an invoice to somebody, then there's a default message that pops up there. And so those default messages, let me pull this up one more time. So this one says, portal instructions for Patrick Mahomes. This is the name of my brand. Hey, and then it has the information there. I'm going to show you guys where that default message is at so you can customize that or you can create your own. So if we go to the canned emails area underneath templates, and we'll go to canned emails there. So within here, if you click the edit templates button up here at the top, this is a list of all of the default templates that pop up when you're doing these specific actions. So for example, if you're sending out an invoice manually to a client, if you're sending out a contract manually, send portal information like what we were just trying to do there. These list of emails are going to be the defaults that go out with something if you're just sending it as is. So if you want to customize what those default messages are, like for example, send portal, we'll jump in there. So this is that default template that we just saw pop up that was auto-filling that information. This is the default. So you can change this if you want to and save it, or you could customize your own. Excuse me. So I'm going to show you what actually gets that portal information to the client. So as you can see here, we'll kind of run through this. Here's the link to your client portal. This is where you'll see all your emails and forms in one place. Your password is, and then we have these crazy brackets. And everyone always asks about these. And so I want to explain what this is doing. So right here, these brackets are going to autofill whatever password you have set up for them, whether that's a specific password or whether that's their email. Whatever the current password is for that person, it's going to autofill there. And then down here, it says client portal link. This is what's creating that red button for the client. And this is kind of a good way I can kind of take a little bit of a bunny trail and talk about this in smart fields and how this all works. And you can kind of see here, hey, client name. In our system, we have what are called smart fields. And that's what these brackets are, is it's going to autofill information that's already present in the system. So if you have that information, it's going to autofill it. So where you can find those is down here in the bottom left-hand corner where it says smart field. If you click this, it's going to give you all the different categories that you can use for smart fields that you have available or that you can use in emails. So for example, here where it says your password is, and then it gives you those brackets, where you can find that is underneath here. You can go to link and click on that. And this is going to give you different links to things. And here's that portal password smart field. So when you click that, it's going to give you these brackets. And so it will autofill. So if you're wanting to create your own email, you'll need to make sure, if you're taking notes, make sure to write this down. In any portal email that you're sending out to the client to give them their portal info, you will need to make sure that they have two things: the portal password and the portal link, which is that button to click on to get into their portal. And you can find both of those underneath smart field, link, and they're right here. So here's your portal link and portal password. And so as long as you have those two things in your email, it will give them whatever their portal password is, and also whatever the link is, that button, it'll give them that to click on to get into the portal. So that is a must to have, or else they won't have any access into their portal. But with these smart fields, since we're already kind of talking about those, with these, you can autofill any information. So if you want to plug in their name, so remember it said, hey, Patrick Mahomes, that's what that client name is there. It puts in their full name. So I can add that. I can add an email information, project information. So whenever their start date is, their end date, different things like that. So that's how you can get information to autofill and then send that out via an email. So just make sure you take note of that if you are sending information out to the client. If you're creating your own emails, you'll want to make sure that that information is in there. So the next thing I want to talk about is workflows and how all of this incorporates into workflows. So I'm going to go into templates and workflows here, and I have a specific workflow that is designed around client portals and what you can do with the workflows to utilize that for client portals. So this is just strictly to show you client portal usage. This isn't, how your actual workflow might work. You might have other actions in there, but I did want to show you guys some cool things that you can do here. So inside of a workflow, if I open this up, there are some things that you can do that are related to the client portal. A lot of people in their business, and right now we do have an option you have to do this manually, but you can send multiple forms inside of one email. That's something that we just recently released, but it has to be done manually right now. You can't do that within workflows. So if you have a workflow running, most of the time, let's say that you're in a type of business where you need to send a client 5 or 6 different forms. Obviously, we don't want to bombard our clients with 6, 7 emails saying, hey, fill this form out. Here comes another one, fill this email out, or fill this form out, fill this contract out. It can get really taxing for a client. You don't want to do that because it's kind of like, whoa, you're sending me too many emails. So what you can do is you can utilize the workflow to upload things to their client portal. And then you can send them an email saying, hey, I've uploaded all of these forms to your portal. Here is an email to log into your portal. So what we can do here, I'll kind of talk through some of these actions, but one of the actions that we have, we'll talk about this one first, is you can activate your portal from the workflow. So when we went in and we did that manually first, where you click that drop down and click activate, you can have the workflow do that for you, so you don't have to activate the portal for every single client. Right now, though, like I said, we don't have a way to automatically set a password. That's something that has to be done manually right now. So that might be a to-do that you create in your workflow for right now. But as far as activating the portal, we do have that ability to just turn that on. We also have the ability in the drop down for the workflow actions to deactivate the portal. So if you ever at any point in time in your process need to shut the portal down so you can do some things in there first before they have a chance to log in, you can also deactivate the portal as well. So those two options are there for you. The other thing that we have here is I'm going to talk about sending forms to the portal. So what you can do with the workflow is instead of sending something to the client through email, which then also goes to the portal, you can just kind of bypass the emailing portion of it and send things just directly to their portal. So what that means is the workflow is behind the scenes, just putting things in their portal and kind of stacking and creating their portal and getting it set up for you. And then you can follow it up with an email. So I'm going to kind of talk through this sequence here. In this situation, I have an intake form that I need to put into the portal. I don't want to send this via email. So anytime that you're sending a form, sending a contract, you can choose to send this to the portal instead of just sending it via email. So let me click into this action here. And anytime you're sending a form out or a contract, you have what are called form options. And in here, the two that I'm going to talk about first is you can either send an email to the client with the form in it, and then it automatically goes to the portal as well, because that's how our system works. If you send a form to the client via email, it automatically goes into their portal as well. So you don't have to also upload it. Or you could just bypass emailing altogether and just apply it straight to the portal. So in this case, this form, this intake form, I just want to send that to the portal. So when it gets to this action, the workflow is just going to send it there, and I don't need an email to go with this form. So I have that there. Same thing with this form as well. I have this set up where it's just going to go to the portal. So if you're somebody who, like I said, has 5, 6, 7 forms that you need to send to the client, rather than sending all those as emails, what you could do is have the workflow set up about 6 or 7 actions, just uploading all of those forms into their portal behind the scenes. The client has no idea they even have a portal right now, but you're just kind of stacking and getting that portal set up for them with all the right information. And then the last thing that I have in my workflow is an email going out to them saying, hey, here's a link to your client portal. As you can see here, I have the portal password in there, and also I have the link in there, very important. And so that's going to give them the access into that portal. So what we kind of do is we start out by activating the portal first. Remember, that doesn't send anything to the client, it just activates it. We stack the portal up with all the different forms that we need in there, and then we follow it up with an email and password going out, or an email with the link and password going out to the client. So if you are wanting to take advantage of client portals, that's a great system that you can use, just so you're not sending, a ton of different emails to clients. So definitely take advantage of that there. The next thing here is, let's see, let's go to, let's see. So let's do, if we go to templates, and let me look at my thing here. So workflows, and just to make sure we're good. So what it looks like here. Okay, perfect. So I just want to make sure we're following along. Everyone's good. My screen is still going on Facebook. I just kind of want to do a quick check-in. So awesome. So we're good there. So the next thing I want to talk about is uploading things to the portal. What can you upload? How do you do it beyond the workflow, but the different things that you can upload into the portal? So if we go back to that project again, we'll jump back over there and go in here to the project. So uploading things to the portal manually, because you can also do things manually. So we'll talk about that here. If you're going to upload something to the portal, if we go over to the forms area here, and as you can kind of see, I already have something in there. We'll talk about that in a second. But what you can do is, if there's any forms that you want to manually upload into the portal for somebody, if we click this drop down, and we can scroll through, and here's a list of all the different forms that I have in Dubsado. So for example, let's say that we'll use this proposal. For example, we would just want to upload this into the portal. So I'm going to grab this form and I'll click on that. And here's a preview of my form. So what I can do is this little drop down right here, if I click on that, there's an option to just add to portal. So I don't even have to, do much with it. I can just click add to portal, boom, I send it and it's in the portal. So you can just click that drop down and it sends it right there. The other option you can do, because sometimes people need to make customizations to forms. So what you can do is you can add it to the project first. So if we click add, what that does is it adds it to the project only. So it hasn't sent to the client yet. Nothing's going on with the form. It's just kind of sitting in that project. No one has access to it yet. So what I can do is I could either edit the form further. Maybe I want to make some changes to it before I send it to the portal. I want to customize it more. So I could click edit and make changes to this form that's just for this project. But what I can do here, I'm going to actually exit out of this so you guys can see what it looks like. If I close out of this preview window, as you can kind of see with this proposal, it says needs sending. If you see needs sending, that means that no one has access to it except for you as the business owner. It's not in the portal. You haven't sent it via email. It's just kind of sitting there in the project so you can make changes to it until you're ready for it to go out. So as you can see here, there's an option that says apply to portal. So if you do need to go in and edit the form first, get it set up, and then go and click apply to portal, you can do it that way too as well. But once you click apply to portal, which I'm going to do right now, I'm just going to click apply to portal, and then I'm just going to refresh my screen here. As you can kind of see now, once it pops up, that it's been sent to the portal now. So that means that that sent option means that you sent it to the portal. How you can verify that you sent it to the portal versus sending it via email is if you go to the emails tab here, if you don't have an email with that proposal in it that went out to the client, then that means that it got sent to the portal. So that's how you can kind of verify to make sure that it does say sent, but that you didn't send it via email. So as you can kind of see here in my email communication, there's no portal proposal email that's gone out to the client. So in here, it's been sent. So that's a way that you can send things to the portal just manually to the client. The next thing I want to talk about is one-time links. I love one-time links because what you can do with the portal is you can house external URLs in the portal for your client to have access to. So what does that mean? That means YouTube videos, Google Drive, Pinterest, Dropboxes, anything that you have that has an external URL attached to it, you can house in the portal for them to have access to. So if I click this drop down here, I'm going to scroll down past all of my forms that I have, and down at the bottom here, you'll see that we have something called create one-time link. And you can add as many of these to the portal that you want to, but you'll just need to set this up. Right now, you can only do create one-time links manually. So there's not a way to do this via the workflow or anything like that. This needs to be done per project. So you'll need to go in there and set that up inside of their project. So if I click on this here, it'll say, okay, what's going to be the external link here? So the first thing you can do is you can title what the name of this link is going to be. I already have one in there, but I just want to show you what that would look like. So let's say I put in Dubzato is going to be the name of the link. And then the URL, you can plug in what the URL is. So we'll just do dubzato.com and then add that. So as you can see, it says there's a link. Now I can either send this via email, I can edit this further, or I can apply this to the portal. So we'll just click apply to portal. Now that's in there too as well. So I can refresh my page, and then you'll see that it says sent on this link now. So that's also in the portal. I also have another one that goes straight to Google, but we'll look at this here in a second. So external URLs are extremely vital. Some of you don't want to get away from Google Drive, or you absolutely have to have Dropbox or different things like that. Take advantage of this external URL option, because then they can log in and they'll always have access to just go straight to that Google Drive account. So that's the one-time link, so you can utilize that. We'll talk about PDFs. So when I click this drop down for add new form, and we'll kind of scroll down towards the bottom here again, we also have the option for upload new PDF as form. So you can kind of do the same thing. If you click upload new PDF as form, you can drop a PDF in here, and then also do the same thing, click apply to portal, and just upload a PDF to the client. Now, it is important to understand that with this option, This is only if you have PDFs that are read only. So if you need something to be filled out by a client, it has to be a Dubsado form. So you'll need to create that as a Dubsado template. With this option though, if you have like pricing guides that are just kind of showing the pricing, I've seen people who have like, you know, getting ready for your wedding, here's just a checklist or different tips and tricks. Anything that's like a read-only PDF, more informative, you can just drop that in there and upload that to the portal as well too. So there is an option for a PDF option. So that's how you can do that. The next thing I'll talk about is task boards. So in our system, we do have the ability to set up task boards, and the task boards, I won't get in too much to them because it is another whole other side of Dubsado. So I don't want to get into the nitty gritty of it, but you can check out a lot of help articles we have on task boards. It's kind of like a Trello type board that you can create. It's more of just a manual checklist to go through and check things off. But what you can do in the tasks area over here, and I already have one in this particular project, but underneath tasks, if you've created a project board, and that's where you can see this option here. If you've made a project board and it's just kind of a general overall board that you want to add to projects, if I click this here, this will show you the different boards that I have attached to this project. But one cool thing about the task boards in Dubsado is that you can adjust the privacy settings for these task boards. So if you want to share a task board with a client, you can do so via the client portal. So if I click on this privacy settings here, you can determine whether or not that only the admin and the multi-users can see this task board and it's just in the project, or if it's available in the client portal for them to go in and they can kind of add things to the task board and whatnot. And we'll talk about that in a second on what it looks like for the client. But that's where you can adjust the privacy settings. So if you have a task board that you want to share with your client, you can just add it there and then just adjust the privacy settings. And that way it would be available for that client. As you can kind of see, the privacy settings on this are for the client. So they have access to it. So you can see if it's in the portal or not there. So that's the task boards. We'll also talk about CloudSpot. I don't have a CloudSpot account linked up to this particular brand, so you won't be able to see it live here. But underneath forms, if you are linked up to CloudSpot in the settings underneath integrations, if you click the drop down here, there's an option down here that you'll see past here that says upload a CloudSpot gallery. So you can also find that in the form section as well if you want to upload a gallery with CloudSpot into the client portal. So that's also another option if you are using CloudSpot. We have kind of a direct link with them. It's we're not really linked up to any other gallery applications or softwares, and so we have a direct one with CloudSpot. So that's the one that you can use with our system. If you do use another platform, you can do the one-time link. So it doesn't have to be that direct integration with CloudSpot. If you do have any other systems that you use, you can definitely take advantage of that, create a one-time link. So that's CloudSpot. Now, the one question I get a ton is, can you upload Word documents? Can you upload images? Can you upload Excel documents? Can you upload videos or audio files? Currently, right now, you cannot do any of those things directly to the portal, but there are workarounds that I recommend using that are strictly within Dubsado where you can still have that kind of effect, but not just directly uploading things to the portal that way. So the one option obviously is Google Drive. So if you have images and things like that, you could stick to the Google Drive option. The other thing that you can do is on our forms that we have in Dubsado, and I recommend questionnaires for this because questionnaires can always be edited. There are only form that we have that once they're filled out, they're not really closed. You can always go back into the form and you can make further edits to that form. So that's why I recommend using questionnaires for this option I'm going to show you. But inside of a questionnaire, I'll probably just use this and open this up. It's just a follow-up questionnaire. We have what's called a file uploader option. It's an element that you can use on a form where you can click on this and drag it and you can upload files onto a form. So kind of a workaround or a hack for that is to use a form to upload Word documents, Excel files, to upload video files, audio files, all of that, and have that housed in the portal, but you're going to use a questionnaire as the vehicle to have those things housed in there. So what I've created just for demonstration purposes is one of the forms that I have is just a file uploader questionnaire. And when I click on that, all it is just using the file uploader element. That's it. That's the only thing that's on the form. Obviously, you guys can customize this further, but just for this demonstration, I want to show you how it can work for you. So what you can do now is if I go to the projects area and I'm going to go into my project and I'm going to go to the forms tab. And I'm going to grab that file up in there and we'll scroll down here and grab that. So this is all the form is right now is just this file uploader. But what I can do is I can click add and I can add it, or you can see right there, it says need sending. So it's just kind of chilling. And so once that's on there, as the business owner, what I can do before I even send this to the portal is I can click open on this questionnaire. And as you can see, this is the form. And so with this, I can choose files to upload onto this form before I even upload it to the portal. Then when the client receives it, they can extract those files out of this form, or vice versa. If you send a form out to a client with an uploader option on there, they can go in, grab that questionnaire, they can upload their own images into this file uploader. And then when they send it back to you, you can extract those forms off of there. And because the file uploader is because the questionnaire is technically always live, you could potentially just kind of use it as kind of like a fake Google Drive almost, where you can just kind of upload different things in there. With the file uploader option, there is a 8 megabyte max on per file. So you can have as many files as you want in there, but there's an 8 megabyte file limit for each file. So take that into consideration. You can't drop in like a 4 gig file in there. 8 megabytes is the max, but typically with like Word documents that you're not going to extend past that 8 megabyte range. So if you need to use it this way, do that. If not, Google Drive is going to probably be your best option, or Dropbox. So what you can do here is if we click into this, it'll just say choose what files you want. And I'll upload this picture of myself and Biz. If you guys know who Biz is, I'm going to upload a picture in there. And so we have that picture in there. Then what you're going to do as the business owner is you're going to click this save draft option. You're not going to send it or anything like that. You're just going to save this questionnaire. Once that's saved, I can now go back to my form here and I can apply that to the portal. And so now it's in there with that form with the picture that I uploaded in there. So there's a lot of different things that you can do with Dubsado. You're not necessarily limited to just a few things. You can send things via workflows, external URLs. You can upload forms, do the file uploader option. There's so many different things that you can use with it. Now, the last thing that I also want to talk about is the scheduler. And this is brand new, and I want to show you how you can use the scheduler with the client portal. So if I go to my scheduler here, I have some different templates that are my scheduler templates. So let's say it's this 20-minute initial consult. Actually, the one that'll make the most sense is we'll talk about the 60-minute session. So let's say that you're a business owner that you want to have the scheduler just kind of hanging out in the portal, and then whenever they want to book a session with you, they can, because that is another option that a lot of people use. And so let me show you how you can do that. So I have my 60-minute scheduler template. So what you can do is if I go into the projects area and I'll go back to my project, if you go to the appointments tab, and you go underneath this schedule appointment option. Now, this is how you can send a scheduler template manually to a client. We've also had a lot of emails about how can you send an appointment scheduler to a client and also change the email before it goes out. How you can do that is by sending it out manually. So let me show you this here. If I click this drop down, the option that I want to use is use existing template, because I already have templates built in my templates area. So if I click on this, it's going to say, okay, well, which template do we want to send now? So if I click this drop down, here's a list of all of my different scheduler templates. And so I'm going to grab that 60-minute session and I'm going to click add. Now, once you've added an appointment scheduler to a project, now as you can see, it says need sending, so it hasn't sent out to the client yet. It's still just kind of hanging out in the project. Once you've applied a scheduler template to a project, it's now available in the portal for them to book an appointment. And so what I'm going to do here is, let me go to the portal and I'm just going to refresh this so we can bring in all of the different things that we just recently put in there. So here's my incomplete forms that I have. Here's my unsigned contracts. As you can kind of see, it's uploading those things into the portal. We have forms we need to fill out. If I go to the sessions here and I go underneath my family session, as you can see, here is my appointment scheduler. So just by adding it to the port or to the project, it's available in the portal and they can book on this whenever they would like to. So if you want to have it set up where they can go in and book their appointments at leisure or anything like that, you can just upload it to the project and it's available for them and they can go through and book those appointments directly through the portal. Now, it is important to know that if you need to remove it, you can always click remove and then it's no longer a part of that project. So you can do that. Since we're talking about this, I'll touch on this for a second. If you click open on this scheduler template, you can actually book your appointments for your clients. So by clicking open inside of a project, I can go through and I can book an appointment for my client and they don't have to do it, because there's a lot of people that say, well, I just book my appointments for my clients by myself. So you can do it this way and then go through and just book out, you know, whatever time you want. Let's say that you're with a client and they say, well, let's just book it right now. You could do it this way too. A lot of different ways that you can utilize that, but that's how you can kind of book things for clients behind the scenes. With this, if you send them the scheduler, actually, let me talk about this thing too as well. One more thing. If you click on the scheduler template in here, if I just click on this, this is where you can edit the scheduler template specifically for this client. If you need to change an email before it goes out to the client, if you need to edit your availability specifically for this project, you can go through and edit that and then click save at the bottom or send, and then you can send it out to the client with whatever email you would like. So if you need to change the email for a scheduler template, you'll do it this way here for right now. But that's kind of different ways that you can use that scheduler template. But for the portal, just by applying it to that portal, or to the project, it'll be available in their portal. So there's that option too. So let's go back into the portal really quickly here. I'm almost finished. As you can kind of see in this session area here, these are all the different things that we've kind of started uploading to their specific project. So here are, here's the dubzato.com. So when I click on that, this takes you right to the URL that you put in there. So as you can see, it's really easy for a client. If you have external URLs, you click on that, it just pops open in Google. That's the URL I have attached to it. So you can just put in any external links that you want in there, as many as you want to, and they'll just have those sitting in the project whenever you need them to go in and click on it. Here's the forms that we have. Task board. So here's the board section. If I click on that, it's going to open up the task board. Now, if you give, this will be the last thing that I cover, and then I'll take some questions. If you give your client access to a job board, or a project board rather, they can make changes to this board. That's important to know. If you want to have a board that is just specifically for you guys internally, then just set it for the admin and assigned users. Right now, and this is in the client, because remember, with the client portal, there's not really a business owner view and a client view. It's all the same. So as a client, I can go in and I can mark these things off. I can check these off at my own leisure. I can add things that I need to do in there. So a client can go in and, let's say this is, task 3 that needs to get done. You can add those in there. So there's a lot of different things that you can do with the task boards, but you do need to know that when you go in here, right here, clients can upload files in there if they need to. They can leave comments if they would like to. So that's all well. But it is just, you just need to know when you're using the task boards in the client portal that it is dual. So they can both make changes to those things. It's not kind of a set in stone. This is, what it is, and you can't make changes to it. So just keep that in mind. with the client portals, but that's kind of how it works, is the client will have access to this and then kind of check things off if they need to as well. Awesome. So that's a rundown on client portals. I know it was a ton of information. We kind of ran long today. We went about an hour, but there are a lot of things that you can do with them. And hopefully this really helped you maximize what you want to do with your client portal. So what I'll do here, I do have about 5 minutes or so, and I can field a couple questions. So let me scroll through here. It looks like on the Big Marker end, we don't have any questions at the moment. If you have some, feel free to go ahead and type those in. Okay, awesome. Crystal, the tabs everywhere or per client. I would not like to show the invoices tab. So right now, currently, you're not able to shut off the tabs for clients. That is something that we could potentially add in the future, but right now, currently, there's not a way to shut those off. And since we're talking about invoices, let me also clarify this as well. With invoices that you create in a project, once they are created, they are in the portal. So invoices you do not send to the portal. Once they're created, they're automatically in the portal. So definitely keep that in mind as well. I'm not sure if the dev team has that on their radar to implement, but that is how it works currently right now, is once an invoice is created, it's automatically in the portal for them. So think about that on when you want to give them access to the portal. That could take an effect on your workflow when you send them the link and password. Could I do a super quick overview on adding the board to a project in regards to scheduling deadlines? So currently right now on task boards, the only thing that you can do with task boards that are regarded to deadlines is if I go into this task board, obviously we've kind of checked some things off. So as you can kind of see, if a client checks things off, you can just go into the project and see what progress they've made. So as they make changes, you'll just be able to see at a glance in their project what's going on. With this, the only thing you can do with deadlines with task boards is if we click on this, you can set the due date for when things are due, but it's a fixed date. So it's important to know that per client, you will need to go in and set the due dates for everything so the clients can see those. If anything is based off of a milestone, like, you know, once they sign the contract, this happens, that's going to be more workflow related. You're not able to share workflows in the client portal right now. That's only behind the scenes. So you can set deadlines with the task boards, but just within each project, you'll need to set the due dates in there. And then since there's due dates attached to these tasks, they'll also be on your dashboard. So you can also look at those as well. So that's how you can kind of use deadlines with task boards, is go inside the project and set the due dates, and then that will translate for the client. So that's how you'll do that there. Julie, and let's see here. Can two users have access to the same projects? A real estate broker in the portal, law office example. So you can do that. What you would need to do though, is you would need to have the password be sent to both people. So currently right now, you're not able to take, let's say, two different clients and projects and have those mesh together. But as long as someone has the link and password to the portal, they can log in as well. One thing we are working on is the vendors feature, and I'm not sure if this will be included, at least in the first round, but we do want to have it set up eventually in the future where there's different views for the portal, where let's say if you're a wedding planner and then a certain vendor comes in, they can only see certain information in the portal versus the bride could only see certain information. So we are working towards that. That's not something that's currently in the system, but that's kind of the way we're working. But in regards to your question, you can have two different people have access to it, two different clients. They just need to make sure that they have the right portal link and password, and then they can log in and view any information in there. So you might need to send out an extra email to someone else who's not the primary client, but you can definitely do that. Let me jump over to Facebook really quick, because I know you guys have been watching. So let me see if there's any questions over there. Let's see here. Awesome. Well, I don't see any questions on the Facebook end, but if you guys have any more questions on Big Marker, I can answer those. The client asked to change their password at first to log in. We don't have two-factor authentication right now. The only thing we have that's kind of the barrier to entry is the password, but how it works, as you can kind of see, is the only people that have access to that portal is whoever has the link and password. So if your client decides to share it with somebody, then that's kind of on them. And then you as the business owner are the only people who have access to that password. The only people who can change the password is the business owner right now. Like I said, that's something that we're also working on changing, where the client can choose their password or update it. But right now, the only people that have access to changing it is the business owner. So it is secure because obviously you have to have the direct link to that portal. And also the password that's set up too. So you just make sure that when you're sending that information out, that you just make sure that the only people that have access to it is the client, and then whoever else you send it to, or if the client decides to send it to somebody else, that's something you can't really control. It's kind of on them at that point. Awesome. So I'm going to jump off of here. I know this is a ton of information. Please share this with other people. I know on the big marker end, you guys are going to receive a copy. If you sign up for the webinar, you get a copy of it. Facebook people, everyone else, this will be on our YouTube channel, so you can review this anytime you want to. If you want to see anything on FAQ&A or have me go over a certain topic, go ahead and go to our Facebook community, just write a post and say, hey, I'd love to see this on FAQ&A. Could you think about doing this possibly? And then I'll try to work it into my schedule on how I have things laid out for the FAQ&As. So awesome, guys. Well, I'm going to jump off of here. Hopefully it was great for you. Hopefully you guys have an amazing rest of the week. If you guys need any help, definitely reach out to us. You can go to dubsado.com/help. If you have technical issues or experiencing anything like that related, definitely reach out to us in our chat. You can either click on the chat bubble on your dashboard, or also just go to hello@dubsado.com and just email us, and we can handle anything that you have going on. So awesome, guys. Well, have a great rest of the day, and we will talk later.